Welcome to the podcast Listen to Unlearn, proudly sponsored by Gladwell Academy, your agile transformation partner. Please join us in welcoming our host for today.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a good opportunity to be here with you for this session of the podcast, Listen to Unlearn. I'm not going to tell you right now where we are, but I guess you could see and feel the vibes. And I'm also very happy to have here with me a very interesting guest. That I can say is my colleague, is my friend as well. And he likes to talk a lot, so I have invited because these days we were talking about a very interesting subject, and it caught my attention. And well, this is what we are going to be discussing today. So, without further ado, Raul, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Eduardo, for receiving me. Actually, that is quite of a different podcast episode because we have the pleasure to be here on the South of France. So we are recording this video, and I'm really happy to be here. We're gonna have an open talk between us, and that's gonna be awesome. Yeah, I'm sorry for you guys that you're not here with us. We are having nice experience.
Can you feel the vibe? Can you see the vibe? This is the French Riviera, baby. It's as good as it can be.
It's better than it can be.
Yeah.
Better than you imagine.
And you know that the most interesting thing is that Raul and I we travel all around the world together to work together, and people they ask ourselves, where do you live? What do you do? Well, this is pretty much it. It is just 5-10 minutes away from home.
Yeah.
In a walking distance, right?
Yeah. So it's a little bit far.
But let me tell you something, because we didn't come here to discuss about where we live.
No,
not at all.
Although we could speak during hours about it.
Hours and hours and hours, yes. So my question to you, Raul, and I'm going to start already. What are you going to talk about to our audience?
Yeah, so the topic of today is going to be around the presentation I'm going to do in a conference that's called Agile Tour Vilnius. That is the biggest Agile conference in the Baltics. It's happening in Vilnius, 8/20. That's going to be a nice opportunity. That's going to be the second year I'll be there. Last year, I had a talk in there, but that was remote, so I didn't have the pleasure to be there with everybody. But this time, I will be there for the first time in that country, and that's going to be me. I'm absolutely sure.
I have no doubts about that. So what are you going to talk about over there?
So it is a topic that is called 5 Ways to Build Trust and Create a Safe Environment, which sounds easy, right? When you listen to it, but it's quite hard when you put that in place. Right. And the idea was, can I talk about the idea? Where it comes from? So it was interesting because I jumped into this public speaking engagement since beginning of last year. I had a chance to speak in some conference, Safe Summit, and this one as well last year. And I was pretty much into the leadership topic until then. And then I was wondering, I would like to do something different this time. So I was brainstorming with myself, just sometimes it's a hard brainstorming, but I always win. And I was looking for some sort of experience I could bring to people. And then I realized that, and you will probably put yourself on that every week, every month, every once in a while, we are in a different group of people. We are with people that sometimes we've never met before. That's the first time we met. They are also new to each other. They never met before. So, for example, in the training we had last week that was in Budapest, we were people that never met before. And then to have the most value out of it, you need to create this environment where people, they feel safe, right? So you need to, as a trainer, as a coach, as a consultant, you need to create an environment where people, they trust each other. That's where the idea came from. I said, well, I'm doing this basically every week. I'm doing this every month when I do training, coaching, shooting. When I meet with people, I'm doing that. So what I use every week, every month, that I could help people to maybe do the same things that they work for me, that they might work to other people.
But let me ask you a question about that, because you say there are 5 ways and so on. So I imagine that because the experience that you have and everything that you have seen so far, that you have seen many different things, and there are many different ways also on how to build this trust and create this safe environment. How did you come to only 5?
That was hard.
I can imagine, yeah.
Initially, they were 7. Well,
Okay.
initially they were a lot. They were many more than that. But then, of course, from a talk perspective, I needed to refine a little bit and then select 7. And then I said, I don't want just to go in a quantity over quality, so I reduced to 5. That was not an easy decision, but then I tried to say, well, what are the main ones I use? And they are also not that generic, right? Not like, okay, create an environment where people feel safe. Like everybody knows that, but things that I do to help them to create this environment. And
Okay.
that's how I focus on those 5. I'm not talking about 5 because then you need to go there.
So that was a bummer already, because I was already in my mind, I was, what are the 5? What are the 5?
Yeah, but I can say 1, maybe 2. Well, we also work together, so I also see that you use that. You can see I use that, but 2 things that I use. One is I try to make the environment funny, right? Because it doesn't really matter if you're there with co-workers, if you're there with executives, if you're there in training, if you are there with your own team that you are starting now. If you make it funny, then people will feel kind of relief, and they feel more open to discuss, right? And then, because the point is, it's hard to make it fun. And then what I do, for example, is I start just making funny of myself. So I don't take myself very seriously. You make fun of yourself, and then you do jokes, you do some bad jokes, and some of them I can tell them.
Yeah, that's a very good start, I have
And
to
then as
say.
warning, some of them they will be bad jokes, but you will
Yeah.
laugh anyway. And then you make fun of yourself. You don't take yourself very seriously, and then the people they start like feeling this relief that we are there working. We are there as professional, but we are also there as human beings, right? That helps. And then there are more that I could tell you about as well, but the point is I didn't want to make it very generic, right? I
Yeah.
wanted to give concrete steps, and that's why I reduced from like maybe 20 initially to 10, and then to 7, and then to 5, to give concrete steps that people they can use to make it work. That at least they work for me, right? So one of them is I try to make it funny. The other one I can give a spoiler about. It's I try to bring this personal side, right? Most of the times, or sometimes if I'm there kind of hosting this, it could be as a consultant, as a trainer or whatever, but if I'm hosting this, I'll try to make it a little bit personal. I'll try to tell a story of my life. I try to talk about my cat or whatever, a story that happened last week. So you make it personal, and then you start creating these connections. Just to see that you plan, create this connection, and then you will see the dominoes effect. You're gonna see people sharing after, telling some good jokes, bad jokes. There is something that we use a lot during the training, by the way, which is especially when we do remote trainings. We are during the breaks, are not there with people, but then you ask them, what did you guys do during the break? What did you guys eat during the break? And then you start a kind of stupid chat and cheat, fast play that they add. And at the beginning, they will feel like, what's going on? But then you will see after the second round, they are very competing against each other and having fun. And I think that's just helps. It's an enablement to create trust. It's going to enable.
Let me then provoke you a little bit, because in your opinion and based on your experience as well, why having a safe environment and having trust are important?
Well, I do believe that this is the basic thing we must have to better perform our work. Well, if we expand that to to a human being, then you were talking about trusting each other, right? So you create this environment, you build this trust, you create this environment, a safe environment, and this safety or psychological safety, that's going to enable a lot of new things, right? That's going to enable innovation, that's going to enable transparency, that's going to help people to help each other, right? Because also trust, it's a sensitive topic, right? Some people, they just trust you until they don't trust anymore. Some people, they will require you to gain their trust. That's going to be harder. But if you have this environment, then whatever the work you do, that's going to be easier, right? And especially talking about work, you are there with people for 8 hours a day, for 9 hours a day. If you're part of a team, you're there every time. If you're part of a training, then you're there together with a bunch of people you never met before for 3 days. You need a safe environment where you feel comfortable with sharing your opinions on giving answers, long answers, trying new things, innovate, and that's going to make the work easy, right? Because I believe that work environment without trust, without the safety or psychological safety, that's just not going to work. That's going to fall down eventually.
This is just water, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely, I don't.
So, may I ask you something related to that? Because when you talk about trust, when you talk about transparency as well, because here we are talking about team, we're talking about organizations, we are talking about team dynamics and all of these kind of things. And do you think that there is a strong connection between the trust and the safe environment with the productivity of a team, with the ability of delivering more, delivering better, and all together? Is there this kind of relation between one and the other?
Yeah, I believe so. Also from like psychological point of view, there are many studies, articles that they say that that is a fact. As a human being, first you need to feel safe. Then you are going to care about whatever is around you. Or whenever we talk about delivering value, the right things to the right customer, having customer centricity, working as a team, helping people, I need first to feel safe. Then once I am sure or psychologically, I think that I'm in a space where like nobody's gonna hurt me, not physically, but in all sense, then I'm able to do whatever is coming up. But if I don't feel safe, then I will need first protect myself, or I will just not express myself. I'm not helping you. I'm fear of judgment. I'm not caring anymore about results. I'm not caring anymore about the value, because then I don't feel trust. I don't feel this trust in the team or in the group of people, right? And we've seen many examples happen. And we've seen many examples happening in teams, in consulting, in organizations, in trainings, that people they don't feel safe, right, to express themselves. I think it's a pity, because then you are losing an opportunity as a person, and the team is losing as well the opportunity, because then you are not expressing your opinion, you're not trying anything. And well, I believe everybody's hired for a reason. So if you are there, it's because people trust you can do the work, right? And then to enable that, you need to feel safe. So that's going to enable whatever's coming next.
And you talk as well about open communication.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yes.
I've seen according to these years of experience that I have on my belt, that having an open communication is really hard, because in one hand, you want to say something to someone, but you don't want to hurt their feelings, and then it's always about how they are going to take that kind of information and what they are going to do about it. I've also learned that communication is not about what you want to tell them, but about what they perceive on what you do and what you say. And that is a totally different, that's a totally different kind of perception when you have this kind of understanding. So
Yeah.
whenever I am I'm in a position that I need to communicate something to someone, I always try to put myself on their position, for instance, and I say, okay, so how do I think that this person is going to perceive and receive this kind of message? Because it's not about me, it's about
Yeah.
the person that is having this, right?
Yeah, yeah. Also, there is a nice word of by you is that it also depends on this cultural aspects. You can kind of create a safe environment, or you can create trust, but you're gonna have different people in there. You're gonna have different cultures in there, so you're gonna have different ways of people that are more talkative, people that they don't like to talk, people that they receive feedback in a way, and then people that receive feedback in another way, and they give feedback in a way, more direct feedback, or they try to kind of, prepare you for whatever they want to say, or they will be more optimistic or pessimistic. And that's going to be hard to change. I mean, I think that is still the basic is that you have this, you create the trust, you have this environment, and then even depending on all those aspects that you mentioned, that I mentioned, you're gonna rise from there, right? And still you're gonna have that person that doesn't like to talk, but eventually this person will talk a little bit more, which still compared to someone else, it's not that much, but it still is gonna feel safe to talk, to receive, and to discuss. I've seen this happening. And then after, well, we are both from Brazil. We live in south of France. It's been 7 years.
Few years, 10 years.
10 years
10 years.
already. And we work also in the Netherlands for you for 5 years,
Right.
I for 2.5 years. The three cultures, the three countries, they have different ways of receiving and giving feedback.
Oh, that's definitely, yeah.
There's nothing we can do to change people. And as you said, and that's also valid for leadership, for this communication. It's how you send the message in specific environment or context, and how this person receives. Right? So you try to be as clear as possible, so the person's going to receive the message properly, right? But to be able even to send this message, if I feel that I will be judged, if I feel that I'm always like the guy with a different opinion and nobody pays attention to, next time I'm just not going to express myself, and then we're going to lose maybe a nice idea.
Okay, so here's one thing, because I'm listening to what you say, and there is a word that is coming very often, again and again and again and again. So I'm sorry, I say that I wouldn't ask it to you. I understand that you said, I'm not going to give it all right now, but let me ask you something. Is feedback part of your list of 5?
Yeah, in a sort of way. It's a kind of combination of feedback and diversity, because whatever the group you are, you're gonna have diversity, and especially nowadays that people start working remotely with distributed teams, so you have people spread everywhere in the world. You're gonna have diversity in there, and giving feedback in a way that a person can receive this properly. There are different ways to give feedback, direct or indirect feedback. Like you don't lose respect, you still consider what the person is speaking, but still you give proper feedback to a person considering this diversity, and that's something that will help you to build this environment. Right? It's in a both way. That's going to help you to build the environment, and building the environment is going to help you to have even more open feedback. So at the end of the day, when you start building the environment, you're going to have all those aspects of everybody maybe having it in a funny way, not taking themselves too seriously, having open feedback and all these kind of things. They're going to help with the environment, and at the end, you can have it even more when you start having this safe environment in place. It's not easy, but I hope I will help everybody in there to make it happen.
I still have one question that just popped up here.
That's the
And you've mentioned that we are from Brazil. You said it.
Yeah,
We live in south of France.
I shouldn't have said that, or
No, yes, you
Did
can.
I-
You're allowed. You're allowed to do that. We're from Brazil. We live in south of France. We work for a Dutch company, and we are all over the Europe. We travel everywhere every week. So, is it allowed in order to create trust and a safe environment? Is it allowed to talk about football, but the real football? And I'm sorry, my American friends, I know you are watching this, but I'm talking about the real football that is what you guys call soccer. I'm talking about the real football, the Brazilian football. Is it allowed to talk about that?
It is, but it's a delicate topic.
Is it?
I wouldn't,
Is it just because we cheer for two different teams?
yeah, probably, yeah, just remind me that, so no, we shouldn't.
No, it shouldn't. That is definitely not creating a safe environment.
But for example, sometimes when I present myself,
Yeah.
Since the beginning, the first sentence I said, sometimes it's like, well, I'm Brazilian, I live in southern France, I'm working in the Netherlands. So I'm Brazilian, and I kind of make it a little bit funny already. I said, well, look, I I don't know how to dance samba. Yes, I love working caipirinhas, and I'm not very fan of Neymar. So
Oh, now she's hurt. He's
yeah,
hurt.
no, probably I lost half of you. Or maybe
Now
not, or
he's
maybe not,
hurt.
or maybe not. But that kind of yeah, it involves this aspect, so you make it a little bit funny. There's always or some topics that we need to be careful about, and then when you see this conversation going to the wrong way, then it's your turn if you are there facilitating or if you're there posting anything to do. Like everybody, well, like I said before, make it funny, have some jokes, but there are jokes and jokes, so you also need to pay attention to that to kind of build this environment where it's not having fun, not having fun of you, I'm having fun with you, and that's totally different, right? That could create a safe environment or could just destroy the environment, whatever the environment you have.
Cool. So my very last question to you, then we are going to end up in a high note here, this episode. So
Let me see them.
yes. So what would you like to leave to our audience as a very last message, or something that it's kind of a golden rule, something that you want them to try it out?
Yeah, so my message will be, you are there working, you are there in a working environment. So you spend probably 8 hours, 9 hours per day with all these people around you. And you need somehow, and sometimes the effort is coming from you and not from someone else, right? And sometimes it's gonna be hard because you're gonna be the one making the extra effort to build this environment or to create this trust, but that's worth it, right? Eventually, that's gonna work, and you need to know when that's probably not gonna work, then it's not the time. I'm not investing more time in that relationship, but almost all the time that I try to do that, that's worth it. So try it. Sometimes not coming from someone else, is coming. You could try it because you work with all these people, and without that, your work will be hard, right? And you're gonna achieve less things.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So thank you very much, Raul.
Welcome.
I've learned a lot. So thank you very much for this. Thank you very much for accepting the challenge, and to have shared a little bit of your experience and the talk that you were going to do in this event. I don't know about you, but guys, we are recording this in a restaurant. We are as we speak, there are many different people here at this restaurant, and I have no idea what they are thinking about. But I saw already some people, they have taken pictures of us, and I'm really eager to this.
I'm glad I didn't see it.
I'm really eager to know what they are thinking about. Maybe that we are famous or so. No, we are not. You're just the guys from the block. That's it.
We just said, why doing this at home? Why you have this, right?
Yes, exactly.
That will be done by you.
Exactly. So Everyone, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
having listened, for watching this episode of Listen to and Learn podcast, a podcast that is brought proudly by Gladwell Academy. And stay tuned,
Yeah.
and we'll see each other very soon.
Yeah, see you.
Bye bye.
You.
Cheers.